Hi, and thank you for joining me in another episode of Chad Sports Talk. In case you don't know, my name's Chad, and we take a dive in the world of sports. In this episode, as promised, we'll do a NFL review of this past weekend's actions of NFL breaking field goal kicking weekend. This was the weekend of the kickers. Compared to last weekend, was the weekend of injuries. For my picks, I actually went 11-5 with the NFL, so I felt pretty confident with that one and did probably a little bit better than I thought I would, really. Normally, when it comes to picking, I'm not all that great. So let's go ahead and just dive right in, and we'll review a Thursday night with Carolina at Houston. This is still like a pretty much one-sided affair. Davis Mills did have a solid performance, but the Texans could not get anything going on the ground. Sam Darnold continues to shine away from the bright lights of New York City, and the Panthers roll to a 24-9 victory. And so go ahead and get my first loss out of the way, and part being my longest review is Chicago at Cleveland. Yes, I did pick the Bears to win. I assumed incorrectly that Nagy will come up with a game plan that would benefit his rookie quarterback to fit his style, which he did, I think, in the second year for Mitch Trubisky's career in Chicago. I was wrong. Nagy did not do that. Nagy pretty much tried to sacrifice Fields to prove to everyone that he was right and everyone else was wrong. Bears O-line was as strong as a wet paper bag. The poor kid got sacked 9 times, spent more times on the ground, and he couldn't really generate anything. And it was just mind-boggling on what happened. The Bears defense tried their best to keep the Bears in the game, but they ran out of gas towards the end, and that's the reason, because they could not keep going, and just enough for the Browns to continue to win 26-6. Up in Buffalo, the Bills hosted Washington. I said the Bills would stampede over, and they did. Josh Allen went off. Complete control of the game. Went 32-43 for 358 yards and 3 for 4 touchdowns. And to top it off, he ran for 1 as well. And as the Bills, as I said, stampede past Washington 43-21. A epic battle in the Motor City. Definitely one you can probably put on your highlight reels as one of the best games of the year. Baltimore and Detroit. This was actually a very tight contest. Actually, Detroit was winning by the end of the game. So the Lions are going the right direction. I'll give them credit for that. And they're showing that they're trying to get that first W. Refs had other ideas. In the final second, it's a 4th and 19, deep in Baltimore territory. Lamar Jackson threw an amazing pass that set them up, but the waning seconds, they had no timeout. They had to go up there and inspect the ball or something, and they didn't get the ball off in time. However, the refs never called delay a game. It was a whole 2 seconds. Lamar threw it out of bounds. Justin Tucker comes on the field, trying to hit a game-winning field goal. A NFL breaking 66-yard try. The kick went up. It hit the bottom post. Detroit was going ecstatic as he missed, but luck was not on Detroit's side. It bounced back into the net, and it counted. Justin Tucker is now your NFL record holder for the longest field goal kick. And Baltimore saved Detroit with a victory. Tennessee and Indianapolis. Carson Wentz tried to, come out with his bum ankles, and he was doing his best to keep the Colts in the game. However, they could not overcome Derrick Henry, 113 yards on the ground, or Tannehill's 3 touchdown performance as the Titans able to beat the Colts 25-16. An epic showdown in Kansas City between the Chiefs and Chargers, between two stud quarterbacks in Mahomes and Abear. And Abear outshined Mahomes. I mean, I can't really say that enough, but, Abear was 26 for 38, 281 yards passing, had 4 touchdowns, including a game winner. Mahomes, I guess, was trying to do too much magic. There's a couple passes where he got picked off that either overshot or just bounced off the receiver, including, the game clinching, and the Chargers escaped KC with a 38-24 victory. Up in Foxborough with the Saints visiting New England. This is definitely one that I kind of thought Mac Jones would win, because right now the Saints, it's hard to kind of predict which team's going to show up. And Mac Jones kind of helped out the Saints quite a bit, where he kind of, threw 3 picks. Saints were able to do just enough. Winston didn't throw an interception. He could have had one that went for a touchdown. But he did throw 2 scores, so he definitely has Dak going for him. So it's Winston kind of performed like he did last week without the mistakes. And the Saints ended up winning. So I think the Saints continue that, and Winston, cleans up his act a little bit more. Saints will really be dominant. They came off Foxborough with a 28-13 victory. So right now, that's already 3 of my losses already. I did a little bit better after that. So Atlanta taking on the Giants in the Meadowlands. It was a day for Eli Manning, as his number got retired. This is also a game between 2 winless programs right now. So someone had to come on top. It was a back and forth action. I mean, it was just, in that aspect, it was good. But the G-Men once again fell short. Ryan was able to make a drive to set up Koo for a game-winning field goal, which was a 40-yarder, and he nailed it as time expired, helping the Falcons escape New York with a 17-14 win. My upset, which I don't think a lot of people thought was too much of an upset, but Cincinnati won the Steel City, and the Bengals just exploited that Steelers offensive line, and Big Ben didn't really have much time to do much of anything, even though he's still able to throw for over 300 yards, which lets you know how good of a quarterback he actually can be when he's given just enough time. But he only threw 1 touchdown, and there was not enough. And the Chase Burrows connection hit again, and the Bengals ended up winning 24-10. In Jacksonville, between the Jaguars and Cardinals, this one had another NFL record tying moment. Prater tried to hit a record-breaking 60-yard field goal. He fell short. Agnew, 9 yards deep in his end zone, ran it back. He even did a little prime time, a little showcase right that lasted like a couple yards. And the Jags were giving Cardinals fits in that first half. However, the second half was a completely different story. Jaguars came back down to earth. The Cardinals just controlled the game and went on to rout Jacksonville 31-19. Up in Denver, between the Jets and the Broncos defense just humiliated the Jets offense and just shut them out. They kept the Jets on the tarmac, and the final is 26-0. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Jets. Then you got a new quarterback, and it's just the same result right now. Miami and Vegas. This was one of those epic games that will go down as a classic for the 2021 NFL season. Brissett executed this marvelous drive at the end of the game. And as time was expired, he was able to run into the end zone and score. They needed a 2-point conversion to tie the game and send it to overtime. And he connected to Fuller to send the game to overtime. It was just one of those you couldn't believe what you just witnessed. And both teams exchanged field goals in the OT frame, so the next, team scored one. Carr, once again, drove down the field and set up Carlson in overtime. And he hit a game winner as time expired, 31-28. Raiders escape a scare from the Dolphins. In the bright lights of L.A., as the Rams hosted Tampa Bay in SoFi Stadium, Brady's first trip into this particular stadium. Showdown between two quality programs that should face off again in the playoffs. And Rams defense just gave Brady enough fits. They're off a little bit of his timing. And Stafford did enough just to hold off and lead the Rams to a 34-24 victory over the Buccaneers. And then we'll go off to Minnesota. Well, Russell Wilson continues to struggle in Minnesota. And unfortunately, I thought he was going to escape U.S. Bank with a victory. Minnesota went, And it was just, the second half defense just stifled Seattle. And they couldn't do nada. They put 0 points up in the second half. Kirk Cousins did enough to maintain or to keep Minnesota ahead and put the ball in the hands of Jefferson. And the Vikings rolled to a 30-17 victory. And then Aaron Rodgers did it to me again. As Green Bay went to San Francisco, 49ers have been pretty much his nemesis. And it looked like, that the minor demon may rear its ugly head for Aaron. But San Francisco, I don't know what they were thinking at the end of the game. Left too much time on the clock. They did not milk that clock to kind of, seal that victory for him. And they gave Rodgers enough time, played soft defense possibly, just allow Rodgers to drive the pack down, set up a 4-game winner, and Crosby boomed a 51-yard field goal, and Aaron Rodgers, in his homecoming, escaped with a 30-28 victory. Speaking of some time mismanagement, last night's game between the Cowboys and Eagles, there really wasn't much fault on the Cowboys. They just dominated Philadelphia. I mean, it was just, Dallas was way too much. Kellen Moore was calling an excellent game. Dak was a general. His emotional return to AT&T since his horrific injury last year. And he was just decimated Philadelphia. They just ran them over. Zeke had 2 touchdowns. Dak threw for 3. Excuse me. But there was a point at the end of the first half where once again, McCarthy wasn't paying attention to the clock. He could easily, force Philadelphia to kick the field goal, and they could have ran back, down the field, maybe kicked a field goal to really drive on the point. At the time, they're only up 20-7. And for the NFL, it's kind of, it's a good lead, but you want one a little bit more, kind of put more pressure on Philadelphia. But once again, he didn't do that. But, in hindsight, they end up winning again. So maybe McCarthy not paying attention to the clock is a good thing for him. Quinn's got that defense just hungry. I mean, it was just Parsons was everywhere. Trayvon Diggs was just a blanket in secondary. He even had a pick 6. So, Dallas defense, had a lot of question marks. And they're missing a lot of pieces. They're dominant with what they are with the rookies. And what are they going to do when the veterans come back? Quinn's got a lot of question marks coming up. So there's the recap. So the games actually lost was San Francisco, Seattle, New England, KC, and Chicago. So not too bad. I mean, 11-5 is a pretty good mark. So we'll see, kind of see how things go. Definitely an interesting week right now. If you kind of look over the schedule, some teams that are on top that a lot of people didn't think were part of the Raiders and Broncos for sure. Them being on top of the AFC West, undefeated even. Who saw that? Panthers being undefeated. Who saw that? Chiefs being below 500. I mean, come on now. But still, 17-game season, so anything can happen. So I'm not going to throw it too much right now until we start seeing, the bye weeks kick in and kind of see how teams react after that. So, all right, that's the recap of this past weekend of the kickers and record breakers. We'll see what next weekend provides, and hopefully some really good matchups. Now, I'll get this dive prediction video out to you no later than Thursday, just in time for the kickoff of Thursday night between the Jags and Bengals. Hey, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of my content. Give me a thumbs up. That helps out. And you can also subscribe if you wish. And once you get subscribed, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified next time I post another video. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.